This case takes place in Minnesota in the United States of America on the 24th of January 2019. On this day at approximately 11:45 a.m., a deputy of the Brown County Sheriff's Department was dispatched to a residence. A call had come in from a man who stated that his wife had passed away. Deputy Jason Fairbairn was first on the scene. When he pulled up to the house, he instantly noticed something rather strange written on the front door. In red spray paint was written, "Death, Party, God, Hell." The deputy slowly approached the house, but before he even reached the door, a man inside the house emerged. He swung open the door, and to the deputy's surprise, he was totally naked. This man was 59-year-old Dwayne Johnson. Standing at the door naked, he screamed to the deputy, "My wife is dead upstairs." The deputy asked Dwayne what was going on and why was he naked. Dwayne replied by saying, "I need to wash this stuff off me," and said that he needed to take a bath before running back into the house. The deputy then proceeded to walk towards the house. He entered and called for Dwayne, telling him to come and speak to him. Dwayne refused. Instead, he said to the deputy, "I'm in the bathtub, so you'll have to come in here." The deputy spoke with Dwayne whilst waiting for backup, but could tell that he was obviously high on something. He asked Dwayne what had happened to his wife. Dwayne said that she was shaking violently and that he couldn't stand to see her flop around anymore. He went on to say that he didn't call an ambulance because the last time he did, she was taken to a medical center where they were able to revive her, and because they were able to revive her, they made his life shit. He then told the deputy that he needed to take this bath because there were weird little black and white things that were coming out of his skin. The deputy inspected his skin but could not see what Dwayne was talking about. It became apparent that Dwayne was hallucinating from whatever he had taken. The deputy stayed with him until backup arrived. Other officers arrived and entered the house. They quickly found the body of 69-year-old Deborah Lynn Johnson at the top of the stairway. Deborah's whole body had been wrapped in a bedsheet, and these sheets had been secured by a number of belts. The officers asked Dwayne if his wife's body was inside the bedsheets. He replied by saying, "Yes, I prepared the dead body like the Bible told me to," and then described to them the process of cleaning her body and making her beautiful in the wrapped linen. He then assured them that he was telling the truth by saying, "I'm an idiot, I'm a moron, I can't lie because I'm too stupid to plan ahead and lie." The officers checked Deborah's body to confirm she had passed away. Although no pulse was detected, her skin was still warm, meaning that she had only recently passed away. Deborah's body was taken away and Dwayne was brought in for further questioning. Investigators asked him to explain the full situation. He explained that Deborah had been living in a care home due to having a number of illnesses. But she was miserable there and he didn't want to see his wife unhappy, so he promised her he would get her out. Dwayne took his wife from the care home sometime in September of 2018 and became her carer. They did this against the advice of the medical experts and brought her back to their property. According to Dwayne, Deborah's health had been deteriorating since he brought her back in 2018, and by January of 2019, she had told him that she no longer wanted to live. She had chosen to quit drinking fluids, eating, and had stopped taking her medications to speed up the process. It's reported that the two smoked a large amount of meth, and for just over 5 days, the two had what Dwayne described as a death party, and had been rocking out. The 59 and 69-year-old couple got high, played loud heavy metal music, and had intercourse for long periods of time. Deborah also suffered from diabetes and needed to use an insulin pump, although her insulin pump had broken, so instead Dwayne monitored her levels and gave her insulin directly. According to Dwayne, she told him that no matter what happened, she did not want to go back to the hospital or the nursing home, and told him not to get her any medical attention if her diabetes caused any problems. Due to the large quantity of meth and poor method of monitoring her insulin levels, Deborah began to shake violently in the last 2 days of the 5-day death party. In the last 2 days, she was unable to get any sleep or any rest. According to Duane, he was trying to help his wife pass peacefully into death. He would go outside and grab some snow and put it in Deborah's mouth to stop her mouth from getting dry. He also said he would hold her when she began to shake violently to stop her from hurting herself. He also said that he couldn't stand to see her suffer anymore and would turn the music up loud to drown out the sound of him crying while he held her. Duane said that around 1.5 hours before Deborah passed away, the two engaged in intercourse for the final time. And after this, Deborah's shaking dramatically decreased and she seemed to be more at peace. Shortly after she passed away, he then washed her body and wrapped her up in a sheet, and did this to follow the Old Testament. However, Duane did not contact the officers to report Deborah's death until 11:44 a.m., but told the officers that she had passed away at 8 a.m. that day. When questioned as to why he didn't contact the police sooner, Duane claimed that Deborah had cut the cables for the telephones in the house, and had done this so he wouldn't be able to call the emergency services if she was close to death. Although this turned out to be untrue. Officers had checked Duane's home following his arrest, only to see that all of the cables was still intact. He would then change his story and claimed that he had waited to call the police because he wanted to make sure that she was really dead, as this was what she had wished for. Investigators later learned that Deborah had been in the hospital 1 week before her death. It was reported that her diabetes was not under control. She had also been hospitalized before for displaying manic symptoms and had been prescribed antipsychotic medication. A post-mortem was conducted on Deborah's body to determine the cause of death. Following a toxicology report, it was found that Deborah had a large amount of meth in her system. It was an overdose that had killed her. When checking his criminal record, they discovered that Duane had previously been charged with assault and a couple of DWIs. The police also found a large number of guns in the house, which they believed to be stolen, along with a large amount of ammunition. Duane was charged with third-degree murder and his bail was set at $250,000. During the trial, what I have told you thus far was brought before the court. However, I did struggle to find any details of the trial, although I did find that Duane's legal team was somehow able to negotiate a plea deal. Duane was found guilty of criminal neglect and was sentenced to 3 years. Which equated to only 19 months in prison as he served the rest of his sentence on supervised release. Following the sentencing, the Brown County Assistant Attorney made the following statement. The agreement the parties reached in this case and the sentence imposed is appropriate. The circumstances and loss of life are incredibly tragic. The facts of this case were unique to say the least. While I think that deep down, Mr. Johnson was doing what he felt the victim wanted and did not act with malice. However, as the victim's caregiver, he deprived the victim of adequate health care whilst he was in a position to otherwise provide such care. That deprivation, along with supplying methamphetamine, resulted in her death, and for that, he must be held accountable. From what I can tell, Duane served his time and is now free. The case of Deborah Johnson is incredibly bizarre. I can't say it's something that I've ever heard before. If I'm honest, when I first saw this case I thought it was one of those joke articles, but then I found the police report. I also can't help but think that Duane's sentence was a little too lenient. His memory of the events and the delusions he was clearly having made me wonder if anything what he said was even true. This would be something that I'd personally never do, but if I did, I'd probably get my wife to write up some kind of statement declaring that this was her idea too, to avoid any accusations of murder after they died. If you live near to where this happened, please feel free to include any further information in the comment section below.